Brian, now as good as Destiny's decree was, I want to speak to you about the next event on November 29, which is titled Survivor. Topped by arguably South Africa's number one fighter, Ricardo Malajika, defending for the fifth time.
Let me just correct you, Cliff. He's not arguably. He is the best pound-for-pound fighter in Africa and South Africa in all the ratings.
Okay, I'm not arguing with Brian Mitchell. Okay, that's fair enough.
But yeah, top by Ricardo Malajika.
Yeah, so he's making his fifth title defense.
Yes.
RBO super flyweight against Vince Paris of Philippines, and we know those guys, they come to fight. You know, Ricardo's going to have to be on top of his game, but he's the headliner. Tell us a little bit more about what we can expect.
Well, it's a tough fight because he's fighting for the number 2 spot in the world in the IBF, and it's an elimination, and there's no number 1 and 2. So when Ricardo wins that number 2 spot, he basically becomes the mandatory for the IBF. The IBF champion is Wilbardo Garcia. But there's big things happening in boxing in the world now, Clint. So you got Bam Bam Rodriguez, who's actually giving up the junior bantamweight titles because he's got WBC and WBO when he beat Kafu, and he's going up to bantamweight. So now for our Ricardo Malajika, the South African, the world's going to open. Every title is going to be available: WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO. So who knows what's going to happen in the next year of boxing? I think there's some massive fights that are looming for Ricardo Malajika.
And Brian, I imagine you're at the point you'll throw Ricardo in with anyone.
Yeah, I think he's in his prime now. You know, he's 27 years old. Like you said, he's having his 5th world title fight in the IBO. He's a 2-weight division world champion. We saw what he did with Jackson Charkey, who's a brilliant fighter. And he seems to be just improving all the time, and still only 27 years old. So he can fight anybody. I mean, Bam Bam Rodriguez is one of the best fighters on the planet, but somebody's got to beat him, or maybe never, but I would put Ricardo and Malajika with Bam Bam Rodriguez.
Okay, now there's a nice tournament within a tournament with a junior middleweight here. So we've got Shavante Koopman making his comeback, fighting Brandon Tayser. And then we've got Raw Knapp fighting Bagwasi from Botswana. 2 fascinating fights.
Yeah, and like you were saying, that tournament on the 29th, what a tournament. I mean, well done to GoldenGloves, Rodney Berman and Tunevi. They want an explosive, massive tournament, so they're going big. And this is the best tournament you could put on in this country out of anybody.
I agree.
I mean, you got the 4 best junior middleweights fighting.
Yeah.
You got the rematch, like you said, with Koopman and Tayser. I think Tayser's going to come to the party this time. Don't say he's going to win, but it's going to be a different Tayser. So that's a good fight. And of course, Bagwasi against Knapp will definitely be a good fight after he knocked out Boyd Allen. And the 2 winners will face each other next year. So either of those fights could be a headliner. Ricardo is the headliner. And then you got this South African middleweight title fighter on the undercard, Terence Kamalo against Don Juan van Heeren. I mean, that could be a headliner. That's going to be a cracker as well. So, yeah, that Survivor on the 29th of November is going to be an absolute massive tournament.
Yeah, for me, I wonder what sort of Koopman's going to come in the ring. You know, is he going to be gun shy? Is he going to be looking to win back the fans? You know, that defeat to Lima several months ago, what's that done to him? And are we going to see a different kind of fighter?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be gun shy because he's fighting a guy that he's smashed before. Remember, he took care of Tayser quite easily in their first fight. So I don't think he's going to be gun shy. Obviously, he didn't look good in the world title fight, but this is back to his levels again. I think it's going to be a really good fight. Not sure if Koopman's going to take over like he did the last time. As I said, I think Brandon Tayser is going to come to fight, so that should be a cracker. And Raw Knapp has had those 2 losses as well, so he needs to get back to winning ways in big fights, and he needs to win this fight to show that he's still part of the deal.
Yeah, I think Bagwasi is going to be a good test because he can crack a bit. I mean, he beat Mati Moyo.
Yes, who was undefeated.
Exactly, beat Boyd Allen, who was highly regarded as well. So he's a bit of a sleeper in the division.
Yeah, and you know, in the fight game, one punch changes anything. You know, we know Raw Knapp's a talented fighter. He's very skillful, but he has been knocked out before, and Bagwasi is a puncher. So that's an interesting fight as well. who knows what's going to happen in that fight. That's the great thing about boxing. You really don't know who's going to win in any fight. But this tournament is a blockbuster. It's proper.
Yeah, then
29th of November, Survivor.
Exactly. Then we've got the bonus SA title fight thrown in as well, which I think is very interesting because Don Juan van Heerden, we've seen him up and down a little bit, but his last fight he was really, really good, getting the win against Promnik. So, and then now he's fighting Pikalolani Kumalo, the SA champion. What are your expectations for that one?
It's a good fight, Clint, because you got Don Juan van Heerden was a brilliant amateur, and then as a pro, he blows hot and cold. I don't think he's been that disciplined, but in his last fight, we saw a fit Don Juan van Heerden come in. A fit Don Juan van Heerden can fight.
Yes,
he can fight, and Terence Kamala can fight as well. Yeah. Let's not underestimate him. He can fight. So, and he's the defending champion. So, I think we're gonna see a proper South African middleweight title fight between Terence Kamala and Don Juan van Heerden.
And then let's not forget the show opener. You mentioned him earlier, Ethan Peters, the young heavyweight. Tell us a little bit about him and what people are going to see when he makes his pro debut.
Yeah, Ethan Peters, I'd like to say, he's my new baby and my new heavyweight on the scene. As I said, he's 18 years old. And he bombed everybody out in the amateur. He was a super heavyweight champion. He weighs 107 kilograms. He's 6'6". He's like one of the locks in rugby.
Yeah.
He's got massive hands. He's got good power. I've been working with him a lot now in sparring, watching him sparring, and I think he's going to be the real deal. You know, he's still a young man, and he wants to do it. He's working very hard. So Ethan Peters will make his debut on the undercard. And let's see, we could have a long good innings with this 18-year-old.
And Brian, presumably you're going to follow the Alberts model, match him carefully, increase the tests every time he fights, give him experience.
Yeah, when you got a good heavyweight, or any good fighter, I suppose, you got to match them well. But like you asked me earlier on about like Charlton Malajika, he's now 10, you can put him in with anybody now, really. Because he's that good now. But yeah, Alberts must still be looked after. He's a good talent and he's improving rapidly. And of course, the young Ethan Peters, as I said, 18 years old, we've got to look after him. He could be a future superstar.
I don't know about you, Brian. I can't wait for November 29.
Great, I can't wait. Blockbuster, fantastic, mouth-watering fights. As I said, the best tournament you can put on in this country. And of course, Rodney Byrne and Navi Groga have put it together. They said, let's go big for November 29. So I think this fight will be like a rugby game and sell out in the first week.
Well, I'm excited. Brian Mitchell, thanks very much.
Clint van den Berg, and your pleasure.